The email is sent, but your fingers are still on the keys. You said no to the convenient option, and now you are waiting for the reaction. Soon, it will become clear why tension does not mean you made a mistake. The first sign of resistance does not look heroic. You want to open the message, soften the wording, and add an explanation. Your shoulders are raised, your eyes return to the screen. It is easy to think that a dignified choice should bring confidence right away. But meaningful decisions often take away familiar approval. If you measure quality of life by days without objections, the most successful person would be the one who never stuck their neck out. The price of safety shows up later. In work you have outgrown, in conversations where you stayed silent, in abilities left unused. Let's sort out which resistance is worth moving through and which kind you need to protect yourself from. Imagine the evening after a difficult conversation. You put your cup on the table, but in your mind, you are still facing the person who did not like your decision. Your memory changes the tone, searches for safer words, and wants to restore the old order. Not because the choice was wrong, simply because someone else's displeasure reaches the body faster than self-respect does. We learn early to treat other people's calm reactions as proof that we are doing the right thing. A good employee does not create problems. An easy relative does not refuse. This logic reduces sharp conversations and quietly narrows your life. The decision is made not by meaning, but by the reaction you can prevent. From the outside, everything looks fine, while inside there is a growing sense that your days are organized around preventing displeasure. The price appears not only in missed opportunities. Gradually it becomes harder to understand what you actually want. Every idea first has to pass a safety check for relationships, reputation, and the familiar order. The possibility still exists, but your hands are tied by the hope of a guarantee life does not give. By the end of this conversation, difficulty will not become pleasant, and judgment will not stop hurting. But you will be able to look at resistance as information, not as a sentence. We will separate meaningful action from harm you do not need to tolerate, and find a guide for the moment when you want to retreat for someone else's convenience. Resistance appears where your choice changes the distribution of convenience. You stop taking on urgent tasks, ask for clear terms, protect family time, or show work that might be criticized. Before, the system was calm because you silently carried part of the weight. Once you refuse, someone notices the loss of convenience. That reaction says something changed, not whether the decision is good. A simple trap works here. The brain receives quick signals: a short reply from a boss, a heavy sigh from someone close, a pause in a chat. The benefit of the chosen path comes slowly. Respect for your boundaries is not visible in notifications, and a new skill is not formed in one evening. Immediate discomfort feels like a fact, while future value feels like an assumption. We overvalue the reaction now and undervalue the life built through repeated decisions. Suppose an employee has been finishing reports for a coworker for several months. On Friday, near the end of the day, she gets the same message again. "You'll handle this quickly, right?" She reaches for the familiar "okay," even though she promised to be home on time. This time, she says she can help on Monday, and today she is finishing her own part. The reply comes back dry. Got it. Her hands go cold, and for 10 minutes she drafts explanations. If she gives in again, the tension will disappear. Along with it, the rule returns. Someone else's urgency matters more than her agreements and her time. Moments like this rarely look like a major choice. More often, it is 5 seconds before a reply, a signature on a document, a request to name the pay, or refusing to laugh at an unpleasant joke. They are easy to devalue. Each concession seems small, while the cumulative effect does not. Irritation grows toward people who never saw a boundary. Your own promises start to look optional because at the first outside pressure, they are canceled. It is dangerous to declare every obstacle proof that you are on the right path. Resistance by itself does not make an action worthy. You can cling to a decision that humiliates others, damages health, or rests on outdated facts. Calm strength includes reconsidering your course. Ask, what value am I protecting, and what price are people paying, including me? If the answer contains only pride, the desire to win, or fear of admitting a mistake, difficulty does not ennoble the choice. There is a difference between pressure that accompanies growth and harm that requires protection. The first leaves room to think, ask questions, and decide. The second depends on threats, humiliation, control, or the deprivation of sleep, money, or safety. You do not need to endure cruelty for the sake of a strong character. Dignity also means leaving, asking for help, documenting what is happening, and refusing destructive rules. Courage cannot be measured by the pain you can withstand. When the boundary is clear, the fear of being judged becomes more visible. Judgment hurts because it touches belonging. The phrase, "I don't care what they think," usually does not help. Most likely, you do care, and that is normal. Let someone else's opinion remain one source of data, not the judge. You can hear it, check it against the facts, and still choose differently. Sometimes, the mature action after criticism is to correct a mistake. You sent unfinished work, answered sharply, or missed a consequence. Admitting it shows that you can withstand an unpleasant truth without running away or attacking. But criticism can also be the price of an old role no longer working. A person who always agreed may be called selfish after the first refusal. Someone who stayed quiet may be considered harsh when they point out a problem. The issue may not be character, but a disrupted expectation. Imagine a workshop owner raising the price to cover materials and labor. He rewrites the listing, sees the unhappy comments in his head, and almost leaves everything as it was. The old price preserved approval, but every order brought exhaustion and loss. After publication, one client leaves, two ask why, and the rest accept the change. The loss is real, so is the other outcome. The workshop keeps running, and he stops paying for other people's savings with his own depletion. This is how the measure of a good life changes. Instead of asking, "Did I avoid pressure?" a more honest question appears. "How did I move through it?" You can leave a difficult conversation with a trembling voice and not lie. You can receive a refusal and not turn it into proof of worthlessness. You can hear a reasonable objection, change part of the plan, and keep your direction. Confidence is not required. What matters more is staying attentive to facts, consequences, and the value you chose while your body asks for familiar calm. To move through it with dignity does not always mean insisting on your way. Sometimes it means admitting your share of responsibility and not abandoning yourself just to end the tension quickly. The next time you want to give in automatically, do not try to become fearless. Before you answer, finish this sentence to yourself. I am willing to endure this discomfort for the sake of... The ending should be verifiable. A promise to your family, fair pay, the right to leave a humiliating conversation, or a project that needs feedback. If there is no clear ending, you may simply be fighting out of stubbornness. Then choose the smallest form of action that protects this value today. Not the perfect speech, and not a final victory. A short email without long justifications. One question about the terms before agreeing. A submitted application. A calm, "I'll get back to you tomorrow," if someone is pressuring you with speed. This format lowers unnecessary risk, but you do not cancel the decision only because your shoulders are tense. Do not check the result by instant relief. After a dignified action, it may get harder. Criticism may arrive. A pause may hang in the air. Details may need correction. Later, ask yourself, did I preserve what I wanted to protect? Am I willing to answer for the consequences without shifting them onto others? 2 honest yeses mean agreement with yourself, even if everything ended imperfectly. A no shows what needs clarification. If the first time you agreed again, stayed silent, or deleted the application, do not turn the episode into a verdict on your character. Return to the smallest version of the action. You can write, "I answered too quickly, and I want to revisit the agreement." You can name one thought you left out, or prepare a question for the next meeting. Dignity is rarely built by one flawless gesture. It appears when, after retreating, you give yourself the right to choose again. A life without resistance feels safe. until you notice what you are paying for it with. Unspoken terms. Work you were afraid to show. The habit of making yourself smaller so no one has to reconsider their attitude toward you. A good path does not have to be hard, but meaningful choice sometimes disrupts expectations and the desire to feel relief immediately. In the next situation, do not ask whether you are confident enough. Ask what you are willing to endure a few uncomfortable minutes for, and take the smallest action in defense of the answer. Maybe your voice will sound quieter than you wanted, and your palm will hover over the send button. That does not cancel the action. Quality of life is visible when resistance appears and you decide what you will allow to guide your hands.